Carting. Every hunter's worst nightmare. And let's face it, we've all been there. But what if I told you that you could cut those carts down to zero? Survival in Monster Hunter World isn't just about slaying monsters. It's about staying alive long enough to do it. Whether you're a solo player or hunting with a team, the key to success is mastering your survivability. So, let's dive into some pro tips that will keep you from fainting and back in the action. In this video, we're talking about how to cart less and survive more in Monster Hunter World. Now, let me show you how I want to break this down. First up, let's talk about survivability tips. These are tips that are things that you can implement right now and do not require any sense of getting good. Secondly, we're going to discuss playstyle adjustments. These are things you can actually do while you're in the fight. They do require a little practice, but still very easy to implement and will make you that much better of a hunter. Finally, we're going to talk about builds and what you can put in your build that will both passively and actively decrease your chances of carting. With that, hunters, let's get into it.
The way we run, we're going to change the way we eat, we're going to change the way we block.
First up, key survivability tips. Tip number one is around maximizing your defense on your armor sets. This is something that is forgotten so easily, even by yours truly. Always upgrade your armor early and often with each and every build. Don't worry about using resources, Zenny or armor spheres. There are plenty of opportunities to get more of that as you play, and you are never without the supplies needed. Wearing outdated armor is like bringing a butter knife to a greatsword fight. Tip number two is around keeping your health and stamina topped off. You never want to find yourself in a situation to where a monster can one-shot you and purposely let it happen by not topping off your health and stamina. Now, what I'm saying by this is it comes in twofold. One, we want to regularly use our potions and max potions. Don't be stingy, guys. Now, the second part about keeping stamina and health topped off is making sure to eat the right meals in the cantina. When you look at the meals in the cantina, make sure that you're getting that plus 50 stamina, plus 50 health. Those meals will specifically give you that extra boost you need to avoid some of those one-shots. And here you go for a pro tip. Once you actually have all the ingredients and stuff, always look to eat for feline moxie. Feline moxie will prevent you from being one-shot. It is a wonderful perk and has saved me countless amount of times. This next tip I want to preface with play the game how you want to play, but I do have to address this, and that's weapon-specific choices. Different weapons have different risks, so pick a weapon you like and learn it, or take a look at the specific properties of each weapon, like choosing weapons that are better built for defense if you're having a hard time. Some of those are examples that I can give are the sword and shield. You got a little bit of blocking, a little bit of offense. The great sword, you have some blocking ability. The dual blades and insect glaive increases your agility and allows you to stay mobile and avoid danger in the air. And then finally, ranged weapons. It helps you keep your distance from the monster and effectively lets you see what's gonna happen next. Now, remember, some weapons are basically like walking shields, while others are like juggling knives on a roller coaster. Charge Blade, I'm looking at you. This final survivability tip is for those of you that love to play in multiplayer. And it's really about knowing your role. In multiplayer, you don't just have to focus on DPS. Healing and support play are huge roles that help your team for survival. So don't feel bad about taking that role while you're learning, or even if you're playing randomly online. A couple ways to implement this is one, bring items that affect your entire team, such as life powders or dust of life. Secondly, In your build, you can build for skills specific to helping team members like wide range. What wide range does is with every item you eat or drink, it affects the people around you on your team as long as they're within the radius in which it affects. So look at it this way. Playing DPS, it's all fun and games until someone gets stunned and now everyone's carding one after another like dominoes. So play that support role, as it's the most effective way to prevent chain carding in hunts. Hey hunters, if you're finding this video valuable, please take a moment and drop a like or a subscribe to the channel below. It really helps us grow and helps keeping me bringing you great Monster Hunter content. Thanks. Now let's get back to it. In this next group of tips, let's talk about playstyle and the adjustments you can make in hunt. Tip number 1, don't be greedy with attacks. Monster Hunter is all about pacing. Play smart and wait for openings. Overcommitting leads straight to carding.
You're stealing, right to jail, slow jail.
So you might be asking, how on earth do I accomplish this if I'm just a beginner? Well, here's what I'll say. Every single weapon has quick versions of attacks as well as their long, big, meaty attacks sometimes. So what I suggest is 2 things. 1, go into the training room and time out how long your big attacks take and get a good understanding of it. And then secondly, figure out what attacks that you can use that you can dodge, roll out of, or has some sort of counter that you can use when you get into those sticky situations. I promise you, if you take 20 minutes to just figure it out for your weapon of choice, it will make you that much more effective in hunts. This will also decrease the time it takes to do hunts because you're understanding your weapon better. Playstyle tip number 2 is around positioning and monster awareness. Experienced hunters know there are a lot of exceptions to this, but at its core, this is a critical thing for newer hunters and beginners. So bear with me. Always position yourself at the strengths of your weapon. Okay? And what I mean by that is an example. If the monster's charging and you're not a lance or a gun lance, you're not a hunter, you're target practice. So what do? I suggest looking at your hunter's notes. I talk about this in my other videos, and it has a wealth of information, even telling you where weak points are. And if you have a slicing weapon or a blunt weapon, where you are most effective for your weapon on each monster. And that will help you stay focused in learning the monster's moveset, putting yourself in a position to do more damage because your weapon's more effective, therefore shortening the time of the hunt. And when you shorten the time of the hunt, you cart less. To add to that, I want to stress the importance of paying attention to the monster's behavior, such as the indicators on the map. Notice when monsters are in rage mode, and then reposition to that rage mode accordingly. And that's when the monster's outlined in red on the bottom. So pay attention to that, and understanding that they're in kind of a heightened state will help you with some of that survivability. This next tip is so easily overlooked and so underutilized. It's using items and traps wisely. Don't hoard your items. Use those flash pods, shock traps, and other tools to save yourself in sticky situations. Look, flash pods and slinger ammo are like a hunter's get out of jail free card. Use them. Flinch that monster so it can create an opening to do some damage. In addition to this, remember your mantles. The temporal mantle, the rocksteady mantle are essential in increasing your survivability. Oh, and don't let me forget the vitality mantle. Yeah, it kind of only works on one hit, but hey, it still helps. Finally, let's talk about building for survivability. And it's important to note that if you're struggling early on in Monster Hunter, you gotta do everything I said before this first, because you're not gonna have access to any of these skills. So, with that being said, let's talk about some of the skills that you can build in that makes you immediately less likely to cart. Focus on crafting builds and prioritizing armor that have defense, evasion, and health regeneration skills, not just raw attack. Sure, dishing out big damage is fun, but who's going to deal the damage if you're always riding that pine pony? So here's what I suggest. First off, utilize the charm slot to just get a free skill, such as health boost, recovery up, defense boost, or guard. Then move into some of your mobility skills, such as evade window, evade extender. These skills will help increase your survival rates by giving you a bigger window or frames to actually dodge the monster's attacks itself. Finally, one armor skill that I will always recommend and stand by till my last day of Monster Hunter is using Divine Blessing.
Power? What kind of power you got? What kind of question is that? I got soul.
That's an armor skill that has a set chance of reducing the amount of damage a player takes. So many people overlook it because it's a chance-based activation, which means it activates only when you take damage and only a certain percentage of the time. But honestly, through thousands of hours of playing Monster Hunter, I always find that it procs whenever I need it. So it's one of the best skills to have, especially as a new hunter, and even as an experienced hunter in some of the later and in-game fights. Hunters, now that you've mastered survivability and are carting less, you're probably wondering, how do I take my hunts to the next level? And something I talked briefly about in this video is around utilizing items, and item management is key to enhancing your hunts. In this next video that I have right here, I have created a guide that provides you how I look at advanced item load building. So if you're looking to take those hunts to the next level, check it out right here. And if you're looking for what YouTube recommends, check out this video right here. So until next time, see you later, hunters.